Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan, and I'm a longtime Hallmark fan.
I'm Wendy. I'm a former Hallmark hater.
On today's episode, we are discussing The Way Home, Season 4, Episode 2, which originally aired on the Hallmark Channel on Sunday, April 26th, and is currently available to stream on Hallmark Plus. One of our favorite parts about making these episodes of The Way Home are our listener mailbag episodes that we get to make following the episodes, and those are only possible because of listeners like you. Can you tell I've been watching a lot of PBS with my...
Listeners like you? Tagline? Yeah, I can.
BTW. I was watching something the other day, and Alan Cumming came on at the end to promote. He was doing the PBS push. I was like, Alan, what are you doing here?
I don't know who that is.
Yes, you do. The Traders.
That's his name? Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh, you're right. Okay. What are you doing here? He's an actor.
I know. I'm aware. I just don't see him outside of his Scotland habitat much these days.
Was he all like traders up? You know what I mean? Like
he was not. No.
Oh.
He looked nice. To participate in a listener mailbag episode, email us your thoughts, your theories, your questions to hello@girlsgonehallmark.com or leave us a voicemail 949-329-8090 with your thoughts on these episodes. Let's kick off our discussion of Blinded by the Light, Episode 2, with a synopsis.
When Kat finds herself in a new era of Port Haven history, new mysteries unfold. Meanwhile, Alice revisits a familiar time and Dell tries to help Elliot.
Bianca Melchior plays young Fern Landry. Bianca's previous work includes A Very Jonas Christmas Movie and Schmigadoon, but mostly in roles as a dancer. This is just her 15th acting credit.
Dan Janot joins as Cliff, the temperance inspector. We all know Dan from his other Hallmark roles, including the recent A Royal Setting opposite Jen Lilly.
Gabriel Hogan, a.k.a. Norman from the Hannah Swenson franchise, joins the cast as Grayson Goodwin. Let's jump right into this episode with a first impression.
My first impression is Kat in 1925 is giving Betty Boop, and I cannot unsee it.
The lipstick?
And the eyebrows, the hairstyle, everything. And in fact, I had to Google, and Betty Boop, please, Betty Boop historians, don't come for me. It was a quick Google last night while I was watching this. Betty Boop wasn't popular until like 1935. So maybe Kat inspired.
Maybe.
Betty Boop. Yeah.
Maybe. My first impression is, Wendy, I dare you to come for Elliot after this episode.
Oh, interesting. I have a lot of thoughts about that. Can we talk about Elliot for a second and my thoughts on Elliot?
Sure.
I think I feel a little bit bad about my hot takes on him last week. I was clowning on him a little bit, and it's been sitting with me all week long, plus Francisco's email. I am not a cold-hearted woman.
No.
I have empathy for this character, and I can see someone whose maybe parent hasn't been around their entire life can feel abandoned and still torn up about it as an adult. Mm-hmm. So that's all I gotta say. I'm just, I poke fun at these things because it's my job, but also, I like Elliot. And I feel for him. So.
Well, we're going to run down the main plot points in this episode. I feel like last episode was a fire hose of information, and I know that other viewers felt the same way. They felt a little bit lost and confused in what's going on, and this is too much to take in. Did you feel like the pace eased up a little bit in this episode?
No, not at all.
Oh, interesting.
This episode felt packed to me. It worked. Truthfully, I watched the episode twice. Mm-hmm. I watched it one time for enjoyment, and then I watched it a second time to write all the notes down. And I just thought it was just jam-packed, but also not a ton happened.
Yes, a lot of setup.
Yeah, exactly. But some things that stood out to me is I thought the structure of the episode did something really interesting. The mirroring of 1925 and 1976, same kind of things reoccur.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was very packed though, still. And maybe that's because I was taking notes. You should see my notes.
Oh, yes, I know. It's I have to scroll and scroll and scroll to see all my notes.
Yes. Oh my God. I mean, a 45-minute episode took me, I think, 2 hours to watch as I was like, pause,
yes.
write this down, pause, write this down. So
yeah, same. And I think the parallel structure as a viewer is really nice, but in trying to parse all the details, it does cause you, it does take some time.
Yeah. What are your overall thoughts?
You know, I felt like we focused a little bit more. I agree with you that we don't get a lot of answers. We're still in a setup phase. We're setting up 1925. We're setting up 1976. Both Kat and Alice are on a little bit of a separate quest. We are moving towards some closure about some secrets Dell has been keeping, but we don't quite get there. But I felt like we're focused on 3 main storylines here, and as opposed to trying to tackle every single thing in episode 1. So this series has always been, especially in the later seasons, kind of jam-packed with information as we're trying to unravel these mysteries. But I thought this was a little bit easier to take than episode 1. Should we start with the Dell and Elliot of it all?
Yeah, please. Also, I want for you to explain to me and the listeners why you dare me to come for Elliot in this episode. I'm curious what your take is.
Okay, well, that will reveal itself as we discuss, I think. My notes say Dell and Elliot becoming family is how I've titled this particular segment. Dell, in my opinion, we are finally seeing a lot of growth from her, finally, in season 4. I mean, they just made her stuck in grief and bitterness for so long that I feel like it is nice to see her moving forward. Do you agree? Oh, good.
I do agree. Yeah, there is a definite change in direction with her in terms of softening. And you're right. Like somewhere along the line, and maybe with the time, what she learned in the time traveling last season, kind of closing that door for her. And she is able to operate in kind of a, I don't want to continue to call her soft, but like she's operating from like a different point of view now.
Yeah, she's warmer. She's more open. Elliot is processing the fact that his mom left him behind. And while we have the understanding that it all turns out okay, obviously someone finds him on the banks of the pond because he's here now, he's still very much in the moment. He can't really let go of my mom abandoned me. And he and Dell being left behind by Kat and Alice in this episode, it gives Dell a chance to step into that maternal role for him and fills a hole. And a lot of things that I think had previously been unsaid are said by Dell in this episode. She tells him, they're in the barn, and she tells him, Colton built this for you. And he tells her about his 5 more minutes that he had with Colton. And we get Jefferson Brown back in this episode. I really loved, I think my favorite scene is when Dell in the bar says to Elliot, when you were left on our doorstep, I wanted to be your mom. I wanted to keep you. I didn't want to have to send you back to Vic, but you've always been an honorary Landry. I've always wanted to be your mom. I feel like I'm your mom now. I thought it was a nice and touching moment and warmth that we haven't gotten to see from Dell in 3 seasons previously.
Well, and she definitely sees Elliot's needs in this episode, right? Like she can tell that he's struggling several times through the episode, and she tells him what he needs to hear. Not that I don't think it's disingenuous. I think she does believe, like, I'm meant to be your mom, but like I wanted to be your mom. I am your honorary mom now, whatever. But I couldn't help but think through this. Like, I'm trying to piece the timeline together. In my head, Colton was always there for Elliot, right? And then Colton's death comes. I have to assume that Dell kind of was always there for Elliot too prior to Colton's death. Now, is there a period of time after Colton's death that she was so stuck in the grief muck that she couldn't continue to be there as an honorary mom to Elliot? Like, is that the area that she's struggling with, that she couldn't help him? Because the Landrys helped him throughout his young adult life. So I'm a little bit confused on like if she's giving herself a hard time of like not being there for him earlier.
Well, I think that's a really good question that you pose because she wasn't there for Kat. So it's hard to believe that she could have been coming through for Elliot in any sort of significant way during that time.
Very true. Yes.
So maybe she does have regrets about the way she handled it. And I think she does need to give herself grace because her son disappeared and her husband died. And while I don't think she was a good parent to Kat, I think also expecting her, well, is this a hot take? I think it's maybe okay that she dropped the ball on her surrogate parenting to Elliot in that time. Like she was not really holding it together, but she probably does regret that.
Gosh, you know what? You mentioned that Jacob went missing. I completely forgot.
Yeah.
Like, I forgot that was the catalyst of, okay, wow. Yeah, I think she should give herself some grace.
Yes.
In that time.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. But I really love those scenes between she and Elliot in this episode, especially at the bar. There's a lot of like fun little nods, you know, when the barkeep mentions Jake being in Toronto and Elliot's like, let's get another glass of wine or make it a bottle. It just was really funny. I thought funny.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of like the biggest reveal here. Like when she knew he was in Toronto, but she's flustered a little bit by the fact that the bartender knows more about Jacob's whereabouts than she does and what he's doing.
Yeah, because I think Kat knows more about Jacob's whereabouts as well. I mean, they've been communicating via text.
Oh, that's true. Do you think Kat knows the job he's doing?
Maybe. But Dell might be a little pissed that Jake hasn't been in contact with her. Mm-hmm. You know, under the guise of, I'm trying to protect the family.
Yeah, I keep going back to your first episode commentary, is Spencer McPherson busy? Because it just seems so odd to have him existing off camera. The whole first 2 seasons were about getting him back. Mm-hmm. And to have him back and then sending him away, it's odd to me.
It's a odd choice. Yeah, I wonder too. Like, we didn't see him at all in this episode.
No.
Right? Mm-mm. Yeah, I don't like it. I mean, the show is about family. I feel like, and Jacob, right? It's his story.
Yeah, and
we're kicked all this off.
We're chasing down this Tessa storyline, which some people have issue with. I find it interesting. Some people are like, oh, we've taken a total left turn. Look, I find it interesting. I am interested in the way this is going. The universe has to expand a little bit, but I don't want it to expand at the expense of some of our main characters, particularly a character who was a driving force of the plot of so much of this show.
I agree.
Do you want to talk Alice's time travel or Kat's first?
Let's start with Kat.
Okay. So Kat emerges in 1925 with young Fern. There's a lot, as you mentioned, there's a lot of parallel structure between these two events. And I think it's fun. I think it's well done. I don't think it's overdone.
What makes you think that it could be seen as overdone?
Well, I think there's a lot of scenes that mirror each other. The way they come out of the pond, the conversations that they have when they're walking down the street, these reveals at the end. Maybe someone would say, like, that's too much. I didn't think it was too much. I liked it.
I liked it. As someone who's like a planner and like,
yeah,
you know, like, oh God, I would have loved to have been in like the writer's room and them like figuring it out, like how cool that would be. You know, I don't even know if that happens in the writer's room. I don't know who makes it in terms of like, let's film it this way and tell it this way. Like, I thought it was very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's both a writing and a directing choice, right? Like the writers write the scenes and then the director's like, well, how can we make this, you know, have that visual effect? But I agree with you. I like thinking about the behind the scenes of it. I'm watching it and I'm thinking, oh, a lot of thought went into making this happen back to back.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool. I thought it was really cool. I got to tell you, I am infatuated with young Fern.
She's so fun.
She's just infectious.
Yeah.
I just love all her vibes and her attitude about life. And she's a real mystery, I feel like, as well. Mm-hmm. I was really worried about this like 1920s era that we were going to be visiting. Just because I feel like everybody does it. You know, I know they did it in When Calls the Heart. Not that I watched the show, but I know that they're in that they didn't revisit it. They are there in that era at some point. Mm-hmm. You know, every Bravo franchise has like a 1920s party. You know what I mean? Like, it's always just been like, okay.
It's visually distinct, though. I think that's maybe the appeal.
Yeah.
And it has a party vibe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it too. And this isn't an era. The idea of prohibition is so interesting to me.
So bizarre to me.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just these pockets of history that I think, what a wild thought that they were like, well, this is our biggest issue right now. We're going to ban the use of alcohol, and we're going to have people whose job it is to enforce such a thing. And then it launches all this side industry with bootleggers. I thought that was very interesting. For Fern, I like the reveal that she works at the Herald and that connects her to Kat, but she's so different. She writes the society column and she likes finding the salacious things, and she's trying to break free of her family connection. So she's living on a bed in the Herald office, and she's charmed the editor into allowing her to do that. It's just, I love all of it.
Yeah, it's interesting for her to be like, oh, that old Landry farm, like doesn't want anything to do with it. She just wants to be a modern day lady, and
she's like, I'm going to rent it out.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Can I ask you, I'm curious your take on casting Dan Jeannotte as Cliff and Gabriel Hogan as Grayson Goodwin. How do you have thoughts on it?
Well, honestly, I kind of think I like them both. I think I like Gabriel Hogan maybe a little bit more. To me, he slipped right into that smooth 1920s businessman. He kind of has that look. Mm-hmm. And I have a theory about Grayson Goodwin.
Ooh.
I'm drawn to Grayson Goodwin as Sam more than Griffin as Sam these days.
Sam.
I'm drawn to Grayson Goodwin being Sam.
Griffin.
Not Griffin.
Sam? What are you talking about?
Sam. Dell's Sam. I don't think he's Griffin. I think he's Grayson Goodwin.
You do?
I don't know what I'm talking about, but that's the vibe I got. I watched this episode and then I was sitting here thinking of my notes and I'm picturing Grayson Goodwin, and we still haven't seen Griffin even at the end of this episode, but there's something about him.
So you think Gabriel Hogan as Grayson Goodwin is playing a younger version of Sam?
Look at the two of them next to each other. Could you buy it?
I could buy it, yes. But I could buy anything anybody tells me about the show.
I know. And it's maybe not fair to me to say like, oh, the actors look similar, so maybe that's the direction they're going. But again, like you said, I could buy anything. I will be drawn in multiple different directions. But part of me thinks, is it possible that Sam is Grayson Goodwin, a character that we're just now meeting? Because Sam has obviously had some secrets this entire time. Or have I gone too far? Does it need to be a character that we knew the existence of since we've known of Sam? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Wow. I mean, anything is possible. Mm-hmm. Anything is possible. Let me back it up here for a second. I was, I think, a little bit disappointed when I heard that Dan Jeannotte and Gabriel Hogan were going to be put in the show. Because I was like, these are regular Hallmark players. I don't want them in The Way Home, which is like feels like it operates outside in a universe outside of Hallmark.
Agree.
Do you know? But I eat all those words. I liked them both as Cliff and Grayson, respectively. I thought, if you recall a recent episode of our review with the movie that Dan Jeannotte was in, I was like, is he actually British or not? Like, I couldn't remember because he plays so many like characters with a British accent. And so to hear him like talk
like Pinstring,
with an American accent, I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, I thought Cliff and Fern's chemistry was bananas. Like these two are really circling each other like in such a fun, playful way that I liked a lot to watch. And then Grayson Goodwin is very intriguing as well, I feel.
I mean, you do love a bad boy.
I do love a bad boy. So, I'm like, what is she doing? She accepts his proposal, Grayson's proposal, right? Mm-hmm. Which, did you notice they put the ring on her right hand?
I didn't.
Yeah, I thought, sometimes when the film flips around, it looks like it's on the wrong hand, but I noticed it twice. She was wearing the ring on her right hand. Anyway, I was like, are they setting this up as like some sort of triangle situation?
I think 100% they're setting it up as a love triangle. And I think it's very interesting. And I think it poses a lot of questions about the connections between the Goodwins and the Landrys. Mm-hmm. And Kat comes home. She's like, am I part Goodwin? And she's spinning out about this. And Fern is not so far removed from the family history that Dell shouldn't have had that information, in my opinion.
Yes, but to hear Dell say, all I know about Fern is that she married this sailor who, and
yes,
that's the story. Like, that's the plot of the movie she was going to be in. So like, where is the misinformation at?
Yeah. Is that the story she told her family to cover up for whatever relationship she didn't want people to know about?
Yes. See, and this is, I'm like, how is this going to end in a season? How is this all going to wrap up by the end of the season?
Again, I do not know.
During this era, we also meet some of the Augustine boys. Mm-hmm. Rats. Mm-hmm. Ratty of the rattest or something like that. Anyway, they're not good. So we've established that Augustine line is not great.
A little bit rotten. The badness didn't begin with Vic.
No, which is so sad because Suzanne was such a badass, and then
where does that come in?
Yeah.
For me, the button of this segment is as Kat's about to jump. When she arrived, she had said, do you know Tessa Augustine? That name is not familiar to Fern. But when she says, oh, maybe she's going by Tessa Cooper.
Yeah.
Fern's face changes a little bit. And after Kat jumps, she looks very troubled by that information.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So we may have hit upon something.
Right. Oh, and we didn't mention when Kat comes out of the water, and not immediately, but it's when they walk and they get to the Landry farm, and Fern says something like, oh, but you're not the one though, because you're a girl. Did you catch that?
I'm not sure that I did.
Fern says under her breath she doesn't believe Kat is the one, though, being a girl after all. But she says it like under her breath, like as she's turning, like, you're not the one. And there is all this question of like, who is the one? Mm-hmm. And how does Fern know? I mean, this just must be lore, that family lore, right? Mm-hmm. Something about the one. I don't know.
Let's jump to 1976 and talk about Alice's jump. Colton, Evelyn, and the terrible Ash, my notes say.
Ash is super douchey.
The worst. Oh my gosh.
In the most hippiest kind of way.
He's giving Timothée Chalamet, Bobo Timothée Chalamet.
100%. When I was like, I looked at him and I was like, oh, this guy thinks he's Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. We don't see a lot of old Fern. She emerges from the pond. She runs into Fern. Fern's like, I don't know what you're doing here, but it doesn't have anything to do with me. You'll figure it out soon enough. I'm going to take a nap. I kind of like it because I really wanted to see our 1970s crew.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, Evelyn shows up in a red convertible. I'm like, she's back. She looks so good. She's so fun. I just adore Evelyn so much. And she's apparently married
to the worst dude ever. But I could see Evelyn falling for this kind of guy 100%, right?
This pretentious, condescending poet who dogs her and says, as worldly as this sweet soul could be. It's like, you're just this little empty vessel, Evelyn. Just be pretty. There's this scene that I called bongo poetry. I don't know what else to call it. But do you think this is Hallmark walking the line of, yeah, these people are obviously high, but we're just going to like let them exist in the background?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, we're one line away from like people being naked in the background.
Right?
Yeah. Having a real party, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I thought that was really funny.
The other thing I love are the looks on Alice and Colton's faces as they're meeting Ash, and as I mean, they don't hide their dislike for this dude at all. It's amazing. And can you just imagine being them and you wanting to shake Evelyn? Like, what are you? You could have anybody and you pick this complete douchebag.
Totally.
We visit the tunnels under Lingamore, which, throwback to episode 1, Rita talks about wanting to tell the ghost stories about those tunnels. They find the spot of the 1926 explosion, which is also...
I would say I have a hard time believing that they haven't been down there before.
Yeah, especially Evelyn.
Totally.
Yeah, like as kids, Evelyn and Colton weren't running through there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. We have a 1926 explosion that we've talked about. It's the source of the song Five Went In, which Jasper showed Alice on her visit to Coils. 5 went in, 4 came out. And we have to assume this has something to do with what we're heading towards in 1926 with Kat, with the bootleggers, with something going wrong. Oh, I also wanted to say about 1926. Remember in the first episode, we're like, who are Kat and Fern afraid of in that silent film? Mm-hmm. I think it's one of our 2 new dudes, and my assumption is that it's Grayson. Alice picks something up off the ground. I thought it looked like a bullet casing?
A bullet shell. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought so too. It was just, a bullet casing. I also noticed earlier that she kind of like paused at one of the rooms and was looking at one of the rooms, and then Colton came over and he's like, this is so cool. And then they got caught up in their conversation. I was like, what did she see in that room?
Yeah, we have Alice kind of processing a lot of information on her own in these first couple of episodes. The information about the book she doesn't talk about. She finds this bullet. She's just taking a lot in and not processing it vocally with anybody yet.
Alice is the one.
Alice is the one. The obviously emotional gut punch of this scene is Evelyn confiding that not only is her marriage falling apart, which duh, she is pregnant, but she's going to do it alone. She already loves the baby. Gotta be Louis Goodwin. And now it makes sense why there's no father in the picture.
And it has a Goodwin last name.
Yeah, because Ash, of course, I mean, we don't know that Ash knows at this point, but he 100% is bouncing. Like, he does not want to be tied down with a baby in Lingermore.
I mean, he even says, he's telling Colton at one point, and the conversation that he has mirrors the story that is told in 1926 about jumping out of like Evie's palace. Like he said, like, if it wasn't for the ocean, I would have jumped from the palace.
Oh, yes.
Evie's palace, which is a direct, mirror reflection of the story that's told in 26 of the sailor who plunges to his death, jumping from the lighthouse.
Yeah, and he just
alone.
He hates this like small little provincial town.
Yeah.
Ugh. Colton and Alice in this era. Sometimes I forget when she's talking to Colton that that's her grandfather, like when she talks to young Colton. But he's like, I was lying when I told you I'm a time traveler.
Yeah, I love that. She's like, duh. She plays it off so well.
I think what's interesting in this is we had talked last episode, like Alice is having trouble with her songwriting and she's uncomfortable performing. We needed her to get to this place where young Colton, we know that older Colton had an influence on her singing and songwriting and was such a fan of her voice and her performing. So when young Colton's like, the song's fine, but it's not you. You need to write your own song. I feel like that's what we were working towards. Like we needed Colton to be the one mentoring her.
I am still, now, while I watched this, I texted Jude. I was like, oh, does Alice's song sound familiar that she's singing? I thought it was the song that Fern had danced to. She danced and sang at the same time, but I tried to listen to them both several times, and I don't believe it's the same song.
Okay.
Because I thought Kat had an interesting reaction to seeing Fern dance and sing, and I was thinking like, this is where I'm probably reading too much into things while I watch a show. I was like, oh, what does that mean? Has she heard this song before? And music is so tied into episodes and whatever. Anyway, I don't think there was any correlation, but I couldn't help but notice that Alice's song that she was singing then played in the background of the next scene between Dell and Elliot at the bar. So I don't know if there's anything there. I need listeners who watch more closely to weigh in. Like, have we heard this song before?
Yeah, to me, that was just nice editing, but you're right, that it might have a deeper meaning. 1976 and the present day come together. In 76, Alice and Colton are saying goodbye and a motorcycle goes speeding past, and Colton immediately clocks it as belonging to his brother Griffin, and he's like, we gotta go. They drive back to the farmhouse and he says, my brother's back. It's very ominous the way he says it, like he's not happy about it. We get all of these reveals, like Dell asking Colton do you think Tessa left with him? And Colton's like, this is when he rips the photo. So we assume that's Griffin in the photo that they ripped and threw away. And Colton is like, this has to be our secret. What are they talking about? And then Dell tells Elliot in the present, like, I don't know where she is, but I think I know who she left with. I think she says, I think I know who took her, which is interesting phrasing. Because it could just be like, who took her through the pond. But also could be like, who took her against her will. I'm going to go with took her through the pond for now.
I'm dying to see who's playing this, like, 1976 Elliot, 1976.
Oh, you're right. Because we don't know that.
I'm dying to see who that is. Also, I feel like, what is the backstory on Griffin? Why is Griffin not there? Like, do we know anything from the previous 3 seasons about this mysterious brother? Historians weigh in, because I can't remember.
There's a Reddit thread that says, I think the wedding Griffin was referring to in the note was Kat and Elliot's wedding, not Colton and Dell's.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Whoa, what a turn of events. Man, I'm telling you, I believe anything, any theory somebody says. I'm like, yep, that could totally work. Yep.
I mean, this episode ends with Dell saying, some promises have a shelf life, and she's laying the photo fragments on the table. Of course, we don't get what that secret is. We don't get the promises in here, but I imagine we're going to get it in episode 3. Before we move into the new questions that we have raised, should we talk really quickly about the title of this episode?
Sure.
Blinded by the Light.
I laugh out loud every time I hear or think about this song, because I think it's one of those, like, songs that the lyrics are so misunderstood.
Oh, what do you think? What do you think it's about?
Well, I don't know what it's about, honestly. I just know that it has that one lyric that everybody thinks the lyric is revved up like a deuce, but people think it's wrapped up like a douche.
Oh,
you never knew that?
I love a misunderstood song lyric.
Me too. But it was in the day before the internet existed, and you didn't know, like, actually what the lyric was.
Unless you had the CD or the
liner from the album. Yeah, exactly.
I used to look at those.
God, I didn't study those things.
Yes. It was released in 1976, so it was intentional. Let's talk about some questions that you have.
I don't know if you noticed, but the clock does strike 11:10 again.
Is it 11:10 or 11:11?
Oh.
I think it's 11:11.
I haven't looked that closely. I always thought it was 11:10. Maybe 11:11, because that's when people make wishes.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to have to watch again to see how closely it is. Wow. 11:11. But anyway, why does it do it at that time?
Don't know.
Every single time.
Don't know.
My other question that is just living rent-free in my head, I cannot help. We have so much talk about Kat's nickname, Kitty Cat, in this episode. And I'm telling you, there is a connection between Kitty Cat and KC.
You're right. I remember. Yeah. Okay.
I remember talking about it last season.
I remember you talking about it. Yeah.
There has to be some thread there. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what it is.
I don't either. I don't have any questions that we haven't already discussed, but there are new questions raised in this episode overall to add to our big list. What's the story, obviously, with Griffin and that split with Dell and Colton and Griffin and all these years being gone? What's this big secret? I have to assume that this is the secret that the typed letters are referring to.
Oh my God. If it is, it's so, like, not that deep.
Perhaps.
I don't know. Maybe.
What's the deal with Tessa Cooper and Fern looking troubled when she hears that name? Is Fern's child's father actually Grayson Goodwin? Is it Cliff, or is it an unknown person who we have not met yet? There's also that mural at Lingermore that Alice stops in front of with the children that we saw in a previous season.
Are you talking about in 1926 that Kat and Fern stop in front of?
Yes.
And she goes, yes, it's freshly painted. Yeah, because the White Witch is in that photo, in that painting.
Yes, and the children who we're meant to believe are young Colton and Evelyn.
Yeah.
Is that just a callback to, she knows what this is about? Or is there, is it just like, oh, here's the provenance of this? Or is something else going on there? I don't know. Who commissioned that, right? It was freshly painted. We have some mysteries that we haven't even touched on in this season so far. Casey, Where are they? When are they?
Yeah.
Who are they? And Nick? We haven't even talked about Nick. Nick and Claire, and who is Claire, and what are they doing? And
Oh, yeah.
don't let... There's a lot of people who think Claire is future Alice. I don't like that at all. I don't want that anything to do with that.
Is Claire future Tessa?
Maybe.
Or something like that?
But no, because the same amount of time passes.
Yeah,
So
I
Tessa
know.
is 65.
That hurts my brain. Don't try to explain it to me. But yes, I hear what you...
So Tessa's too old for Nick.
Hey, who says?
I mean, she's
Who says?
his mother's age.
I know.
And then some people said they do like it when we run down all these questions. So here are the other questions we are still asking. Once again, who jumped with Tessa? I think...
All signs are pointing to Griffin.
Yes, all signs are pointing to Griffin, but there is the theory that it was Alice who left baby Elliot on the bank of the pond and jumped with someone else during that time period. So,
Right.
Again, what's happening with Fern and Kat when they're terrified and staring off camera? My theory is they are looking at Griffin. What was Tessa's connection to Evelyn? She has two of Evelyn's tarot cards in her deck. Are we going to end this season? Seems obvious, but with a Kat and Elliot wedding.
I'm sure.
Anything else?
No, that's what I'm telling you. So much happened, but like not enough happened
Agreed.
in this episode.
Yeah. We have no answers. We have no answers, which means the theories can abound at this point. So lay them on us via email, hello@girlsgonehallmark.com, or voicemail 949-329-8090 if you want another listener mailbag.
I need people to write in and be like, yo, this is what's going on. And then I'm going to be like, oh, of course, that's what's happening. Because I feel so dumb when this show ends. Because I'm like, my head is just can't figure it out.
I hear you.
You know?
I hear you. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Girls Gone Hallmark. If you love this podcast, the very best thing you can do is tell a friend that you love this podcast. And the second best thing you can do is leave us a 5-star rating and a review in the podcast app that you are currently listening in. We love Apple Podcasts. It's the best place to do that if you are an iPhone user. And we'll be back next time with more reviews. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, friends, before we go, just a quick heads up. You're about to hear some ads. These little gems help us keep the show running and the Hallmark love flowing. So do with that info what you will. Grab a snack, hit the skip button, or maybe, just maybe, listen in and discover your new favorite product. Bye.